He was such a good person. A person very dear to me. It's such a loss, really. When I got the news, I was devastated. He? He? Who? No, I thought you said he. I was wondering who you were speaking of. Anne was my granddaughter. We lost her so young. Oh, you probably misheard me. I said she. Indeed, she was truly a lovely soul. It was so unfortunate. Forgive me, son. Must be my mistake. But I'm sorry I haven't recognized you. How did you know Anne? We met... I'm sorry for interrupting you two. Ma'am, you wouldn't mind if I take my companion here, would you? Something quite urgent has shown up. Yes, of course. The eulogy will be held in half an hour. I think I'm going to spend these last moments by her side. My dear child, so young, so young. Hold strong, Mrs. Clark. We all have to return into the earth one day or another. Anne was an amazing individual. She's left behind such great works at such a young age. Don't cry. You have reasons to be proud. Thank you, son. At times like this, we really need caring friends like you around. Friend? Yes, we're Anne's friends. You're such a useless moron, Louis. How many times did I save you today? Do you want to get us caught? How was I supposed to know her granddaughter passed away? Boss, just look at the woman. She's like 100 herself. You'd expect it was her husband. You fool, people are going to become suspicious of us. So keep your mouth shut and take these tissues. Shed a few tears and let me do the talking. Anthony and Louis were two young men who worked together. Business partners, per se. It was just the other day that they traveled to the small town of St. Francisville in Louisiana, and rather unexpectedly got their hands on another great business opportunity. And so they suited up and prepared themselves to attend this funeral of an individual who had passed away just that morning, for all they heard from what the locals were murmuring. If the funeral session went well, Anthony and Louis could advance towards their next business strategy. You see, apparently to the rest of the townspeople, Anthony and Louis sold merchandise across the states, but they had quite a peculiar way of stocking their inventory, a way many would know as stealing. Quite a professional method considering their success in it all. The two men were grave robbers. They traveled from town to town, and whenever a funeral would be hosted, Anthony and Louis would be the first family members to show up and mourn the demise of their loved one. They helped out with the arrangements, offered advice and counsel to crying relatives, but of course, they were only pretending. They had no clue who these relatives were, nor who in the world passed away and was laying in that expensive gown or suit in that casket worth over nearly $1,000. Anne Clark was a dear companion of mine. She used to come to my bookstore every week. That's where we were first introduced. Mrs. Clark was telling me today how Anne was a bookworm. I agree. I remembered how worried she used to get when my new editions wouldn't arrive, more worried than me, in fact. I remember her as an intelligent, dignified young woman, and with her being no more, there will remain a hollow space in my heart where there once was a companionship of a wonderful human being. Thank you. May Anne Clark rest in peace. Haha, good job, boss. That was great, you nailed it. No one is gonna suspect a single thing. Yeah, you couldn't get the information about the girl yourself from all these people here? How long have I been teaching you the tips and tricks of this profession? You never learn. The funeral session lasted 2 hours. Anthony and Louis shed some tears, shook hands with all those who attended, and left just like everyone else. Now that all the drama was over, they would have to wait till night when they would return to the graveyard and get digging again. They would steal the casket, the expensive dress and jewelry, and any other valuable belonging the deceased was buried with, and flee from there. They would then sell their hard-earned merchandise in another town and move on to the next. Everything was perfectly planned, and if Louis didn't mess up, things should go smoothly. It was sometime around 1 a.m. that Anthony and Louis prepared their shovels and their lantern and sneaked into the graveyard in the darkness of the night. "It's cold tonight, boss, and this lantern ain't helping much. Let's get the job done quickly and get out of here. Hold up that lantern, we didn't bring that to camp here." Anthony and Louis counted the graves as they walked down the path. The newly dug was the 29th grave on the 4th row to the east. The night was eerily silent. All they could hear were the crickets chirping and occasionally the winds passing through the tall trees. "We're almost there," Anthony said. But just as they turned onto the 4th row, the two men froze. "Boss, do you see what I'm seeing?" Louis said, pointing up ahead. Anthony squinted his eyes to see a beautiful young woman standing by one of the graves. Her skin glistened in the moonlight. The locks of her hair blew gracefully in the wind. Anthony had never seen a woman so utterly perfect before. Her beauty was so haunting, it sent a chill down his spine. It's a ghost!" Louis dropped his shovel in fear and tugged onto Anthony's shoulder. "Boss, we gotta get out of here." Just as Louis was about to make a run for it, Anthony smacked him across his head. "You idiot, don't scream. Ghosts don't exist." "No, boss, she's a ghost. No human being is as beautiful as that." As soon as the girl met eyes with the two men, Anthony motioned Louis, and they ran at her with their shovel. The girl was horrified. She screamed out, "What are you doing? Why are you hitting me? Stop! Stop!" "We ain't gonna spare no ghost." "Ghost? Stop! I'm not a ghost. Stop!" "Wait, what?" Anthony said, seeing the helplessness on the girl's face. "Louis, stop. Louis, I think she's speaking the truth. No, boss, we can't trust no ghosts." The girl stepped back in fear, holding up her hands, seeing Louis raise his shovel again. No, I swear, I'm not a ghost." "Then what are you doing here at this time of the night?" My husband recently passed away. Sometimes when I get desperate to speak with him, I come here to mourn. I come at this time so I can share my personal thoughts with him, with no one around." Anthony scratched his head. "Oh, sorry for the misunderstanding." "And you two men, what are you doing here?" "We come here... We're the guards here, security guards of this graveyard." "Oh, I hadn't noticed. I think I should be going. Good night." With that, the young woman went her way. Anthony and Louis breathed out in relief, watching and waiting for the woman to go out of sight. When the graveyard was once again utterly silent, they set the burning lantern on the tombstone and started digging the grave of Anne Clark. Freshly buried graves were quite easy to dig through. It was only 20 minutes later that they uncovered the whole casket. "Jackpot. Bring the lantern, Louis," Anthony said as he wrenched open the casket. Anthony was shocked to find the remains of the young woman was half-eaten, in a horrible condition. How could this happen? This casket was buried just this morning. Louis brought over the lantern, horrified by the condition of the body. "Boss, what happened here? I've never seen anything like this before." Anthony took the lantern and held it up towards the young woman's face. As soon as the two men got a better look at her, they stumbled to get out of the grave. "Boss, how can it be? It's the same girl we saw tonight." Anthony stared at the young woman that lay in the grave. Louis was right. It was her. So, she was a ghost? Suddenly, the two men heard a strange, chilling laughter behind them. They turned to see the beautiful young woman perched up on the tree above them. She stared at them with a menacing glare.
I'm not a ghost. I'm a ghoul.
Anthony widened his eyes in fear. What is a ghoul? Louis trembled, stuttering over his words. A ghoul? Meaning, you did? Ghouls scavenge through the graveyard grounds searching for the recently deceased and feast on their remains. Once they're satisfied, they take the form of the one they have last feasted on. Then they bury the grave once again, as if nothing ever happened. The young woman cackled on, seeing the two men drop their shovels and attempt to flee.
Why do you run? What's there to be afraid of? I'm a lot like you. You come here to dig out the graves to steal, and I come here to dig out the graves and feast.
Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.